So if you've been anywhere on the internet in the last year or so, you've probably seen a lot of different memes and videos talking about how the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise seems really connected to neurodivergent people. Now you might be wondering, why exactly does Sonic seem to have such a hold on neurodivergent people overall? There's been a few videos that have attempted to answer this question, but in my opinion, I don't think any of them really get to the root of why Sonic speaks so much to neurodivergent people. So as a result, while hosting a panel in Sonic Expo in Dallas, Texas, I took it upon myself with 3 friends of mine to really dive deeply into this issue and discuss why Sonic is so intrinsically tied to neurodivergency overall. There were a lot of great discussions had, and ultimately we did unravel just why Sonic is so closely tied to neurodivergency in general. What you're about to see is us unraveling this topic in its entirety, plus answering some questions that people had for us personally. I thought this was actually a very insightful discussion, and honestly I was very surprised to see how many people were receptive to this at Sonic Expo overall. I definitely enjoyed my time here, so I'm gonna be looking at hosting a similar panel to this in the future as well next year. This was really a great venue for this kind of discussion, but without further ado, let's get into exactly why Sonic is so closely tied to neurodivergency.
Hello, welcome on in. How is everyone doing today? Very glad to hear. Today we're going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog and neurodivergency. So how many of you do you know what the word neurodivergent means?
Yes.
Few people, good. So neurodivergency essentially accompanies things like autism, ADHD, BPD, bipolar, anything that has to do with the mind and how people view things. And it seems for a long time, neurodivergency has kind of always been associated with Sonic the Hedgehog. And that's something that's puzzled a lot of us. So we wanted to talk about that today and discuss why Sonic the Hedgehog seems to be so connected innately to neurodivergency. So that's what we're gonna do today. So hope you enjoy. For those that don't know me, I'm Otterly Noah. I'm a full-time YouTube partner. We just hit 35,000 subscribers actually, so thank you for that. Much appreciated. Thank you. I discuss games, movies, things like that, different media behind a psychological perspective, often talking about neurodivergency, and I am a neurodivergent advocate myself. I've been a Sonic fan since 2005, Sonic Rush being my first Sonic game.
Hello. Hi. My name is Emmy, also known as Emidivergent. I'm a full-time streamer, Twitch partner, YouTube partner on 2 different channels. I describe my community as feelings and fun wrapped into one big Katamari ball because we may go from playing a game to talking about mental health to doing things like fart noises because people love that on the internet. And I'm very open about being diagnosed with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and BPD, and self-diagnosing with ADHD and autism. Because of that, I never felt like I really belonged anywhere until I met Sonic community members and I started streaming on Twitch. And realizing that I wanted other people to feel like they have a place that they fit in as well, I created a stream team called Neurodivergent Plus on Twitch for neurodivergent content creators. I've been a big fan of Sonic since the Dreamcast. It's my favorite console of all time, and I love collecting Dreamcast games. So thanks so much for having me.
Hello, I'm Jen. I'm neurodivergent. Hi, Jen.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a Twitch partner and a comedy-focused creator over on Twitch. I play a lot of Souls games, fantasy games, and horror games, and I also host a lot of events. So I host speedrunning events, fake dating shows, all sorts of stuff. I just love getting people together, doing fun things, and laughing about it. And I love to bring a lot of laughs. I like to laugh in general. You'll probably hear me. It's incessant and unstoppable. But I play a bunch of different games. I already said that. Great. Starting off great. But I'm diagnosed with OCD and ADHD, and I've been diagnosed since I was 14 when I was living in foster care. And because I lived in foster care, I started working at Child Protective Services right after college. And after that, I started doing my own journey through becoming a therapist. Woohoo! And I started working with people who are neurodivergent. Woo! So specifically, bipolar disorder and depression is what I worked with my clients. And then I stopped to play video games on the internet. But that's just COVID, but we're out here. But I've been a Sonic fan since Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I've been playing since I was a little girl. But yeah, that's me.
Hi, my name is Supersonic. I am a classic Sonic speedrunner, also a Twitch partner, and I've been speedrunning games since 2016, and I've been a Sonic fan since 1991 with the very first Sonic game, and I remember my cousin had it on the Sega Genesis, and that was like my first passion starting with like drawing Sonic and getting my own Genesis like back in Christmas of '93 with Sonic 2, and I've been enjoying the games ever since then, and I'm a huge Neurodivergent advocate as well, also part of Emi's team, so a huge honor to be here. Thank you.
I just had to say real quick, is anyone in here familiar with the charity event Games Done Quick? Supersonic opened it this year with Sonic, so I wanted to make sure to recognize how awesome that is.
Thank you for that. So Sonic seems to speak really deeply to neurodivergency, specifically neurodivergent people overall, because, well, a lot of the Sonic fandom are often identified as neurodivergent. And this is just something that seems to have been intertwined with the franchise just for a really long time now. The games and their mechanics often directly kind of cater towards neurodivergent people, the gameplay being very fast-paced, very stimulating to the mind for sure. The music as well is a big part of that. That's just something that seems to have always directly catered towards neurodivergent people. And it's just been something that I think a lot of people have really connected to. For me personally, I really like the gameplay in Sonic because it's something that definitely keeps my attention constantly, and it's really stimulating in that way. And it just kind of always makes me want to do better every time I get through a level. Want to get that next fastest time for sure. Very stimulating in that sense.
One of the really sentimental things to me about Sonic, the first Sonic I ever played was Sonic Adventure, and being very openly a Dreamcast girly with Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. That was the first time I feel like I played a game that really celebrated the identities of so many different characters. I grew up, I love Mario, I love things like that, but like Sonic Adventure specifically gave us, Big the Cat, Amy Rose, Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Chaos, Chakal. I think that personally, a lot of us can identify as neurodivergent individuals because we see them celebrate the identities. There's the rivalry between like Eggman and Sonic, and of course, they call him Eggman and they make fun of him in that way, but they never make me feel less than for being a Big the Cat person one day, or Amy Rose one day, or we can celebrate who we are and feel accepted in that way, and I think Sonic is a really special franchise for having that ability.
And I like the tech aspects and the pieces that give you frisson, that sparkly brain feeling you get when you get ASMR, music, mechanics, things that make you feel good. I think that Sonic really covers a lot of those, not covers, but brings a lot of those emotions and those feelings to specifically people who experience frisson in a neurodivergent way, in which case that means you're crying instead of feeling tingles in your brain. You ever listen to a song, K-pop Demon Hunters, where they're like doing the big build, and you're like, why am I crying right now? It's that's frisson, baby. You're doing great. The Sonic's a really good job at making you feel good, and just does a fantastic job with the mechanics and the way that the music tolls that gives you those good brain tingles. It's really nice.
I feel like, growing up as a Sonic fan, just seeing like all the different characters and things of that nature, especially when Sonic Adventure came along, that was like pretty much my first time seeing like voice acting, like in a video game, which was really cool. And just to kind of see different kind of personalities with each character, and it kind of feels like, we can kind of connect with the character in some way, shape or form. And, we didn't really have any way to like find out if we're neurodivergent at the time. So now we're actually starting to kind of find things out, like as we're kind of going on in life. So I feel like Sonic has brought that within us. So it's a very important franchise to me. Obviously with my name being Supersonic, as a speedrunner and everything, this is a very important franchise for me. So I feel like I'm sure it connects with a lot of you too as well. Something I do want to add on to that actually is that a lot more people are getting diagnosed now because, like, especially back when the games initially were coming out, there just wasn't as much information about autism or ADHD or BPD or any of these things. So, like, now that there is more information about neurodivergency, a lot of Sonic people that have been lifelong Sonic fans have been finding out, oh, this is why I connected to this character in this way. I was neurodivergent the whole time, and I didn't realize that. I think that's really cool. I think that's a really awesome thing. I'm very glad there's more information out there in general about this sort of thing.
Not to jump on that, but one of my favorite things about any game, but Sonic, because we're here, is when you see a character that is just you. I think Sonic does a really good job at doing that.
So this is interesting. There's a lot of different characters that usually different people with various neurodivergencies often see themselves specifically in. For me personally, the one I've always kind of really related to is actually Tails. Being someone on the autism spectrum, I really, really love Tails. Tails is a very loyal and very kind person who was ostracized from society kind of initially because of his two tails. He was seen as weird, his hyperfixations on machinery and building things was seen as weird. He was kind of an outcast from all the other people around him. And it wasn't really until he met Sonic that he actually had somebody that just respected him for who he was, and also you can kind of see parts of himself in. And I think that's really cool. I think Tails is really someone that especially speaks to the autistic experience because of that, and I really, really like that character a lot because of that. Another one that I know other people have mentioned before is Silver, actually. A lot of people have said, a lot of ADHD people specifically, being that people who are both autistic and ADHD, have said they really relate to Silver. And that I can definitely see as well, because Silver has that loyal, justice-seeking quality that a lot of autistic people have, but he also can be very kind of like naive or easily overstimulated or manipulated in some ways, by nut vials, for instance, but he ultimately does want to do the right thing always, and he is a very good person and a very good character that speaks to that. Sonic himself, funny enough, is often really, a lot of ADHD people resonated with him the most, due to his impulsive nature, often like making his decisions in a split second, but still ultimately wanting to do the right thing. And I think that's really cool. His high energy levels and restlessness are something that a lot of ADHD people can really resonate with. But ultimately, he's someone that really wants to do the right thing always, and that's why he's a character that's been enduring for almost 35 years now, and I think will continue to do so for a very long time. So I wanted to hand it off to these three lovely people and have them talk about the Sonic characters they most relate to as neurodivergent people.
Well, thanks, Noah. I have a question for y'all before I potentially get too much into this. Who has been a fan of Shadow since Sonic Adventure 2 originally came out? I see hands. Okay, this makes me feel better. So do y'all remember when Shadow the Hedgehog was just the emo hedgehog? Because I definitely went through it in middle school with everybody saying he was just the emo hedgehog. But he is one of my favorite characters. And disclaimer, like I'm very careful about, I don't want to like diagnose a character that hasn't been officially like announced as something by SEGA. But I think Shadow's PTSD and trauma are pretty obvious. We see that repeatedly through his initial introduction in Sonic Adventure 2. We see it in Shadow the Hedgehog. We see it in the movie. And Shadow is really important to me because he's the first character I think that I related to with maybe not necessarily being the best at emotional regulation, and seeing how he starts off as, he seems very intimidating, he's the villain at first, and going through and learning him and his story and the type of relationship he has with characters and the sentimentality he has, and to find out, we got the Year of Shadow last year, y'all. I never thought I would see that when I got the game with him on his motorcycle in 2005. So he has come a long way, and I connect to him in that way, and I love seeing his journey. And so many Sonic characters, again, back to Sonic Adventure with it being my favorite. But I mean, really, as a kid, I got to see, some people will say Amy is just the the fan of Sonic, but that's not true. We see in Sonic Adventure, Amy proves herself and her independence and accomplishing her goals. We see Knuckles trying to go through his personal journey of figuring out what he's doing here, what is his purpose. We see Big the Cat just being loyal to a friend. We see Tails in Sonic Adventure learning to not rely on Sonic. Those stories individually and all of these characters, I think, can speak to us all in a different way, and just getting to see that and how far they've come is very emotional for me.
And now I get to say that I relate to a child because I'm ready to go to kindergarten. So, I got a little tattoo with the flash tattoo today. That was so fun. Thank you. I thought about it and it came to me literally just now. It's not a character, but it is the single coin, the last ring that you need. I relate to the last ring. I was told one time that you can beat every Sonic game as long as you have one ring, because that's the only one that matters. And sometimes you get the coins beaten out of you, the rings beaten out of you, but the only one that matters is the last one. And as long as you continue trying and you continue putting forth your effort, that single ring is going to be the one that makes you succeed. And it's not a character, but I relate. Sometimes you're just this last ring.
Do we have any Trip the Sungazer fans out there? Anybody played Sonic Superstars? Yeah, so Trip personally became my favorite character when she was introduced in Sonic Superstars, and she has that very shy, timid character about her, especially when she first arrives in the game. She's has a helmet on her head, just kind of hiding behind a mask, just not wanting to be seen. And then eventually, as she travels along with Sonic and his friends, she will slowly open up. And I feel like I kind of connect to her in a way, and she just became my favorite character from that point on. But yeah, so Trip the Sungazer is probably the one character that I connect with.
I think something that also really helps Sonic speak a lot to neurodivergent people is how it speaks positively to them and kind of reaffirms who they are rather than just talking down to them. I feel like a lot of times in media, when it comes to neurodivergent representation, especially when it's a character that's explicitly stated to be neurodivergent, you often just kind of see them coddled or treated like a cuddly pet, things like Sia's music or the Unbreakable Boy definitely come to mind. I don't like those at all, but Sonic is nice because even though the characters aren't explicitly stated to be neurodivergent, they kind of end up connecting with ND people on that really personal level because they're kind of just highlighted in a really positive way. Someone like Tails, for instance, like we said earlier in Sonic Adventure 2, when he's learning to kind of not rely on Sonic, and that's not really seen that's not shown as a weakness in his case or something to be shunned for. It's just something that's shown as a real character development and involvement for him. And I think that's something that's really great about the Sonic franchise overall, is just showing it in a really positive light. I think that's good.
At risk of being redundant, I'm just so impressed with how Sega has handled these characters and bringing them to life and bringing characters back and giving them their spotlight and celebrating each character as their own. I mean, I never would have thought Knuckles Chaotix would have brought back the Team Chaotix and Sonic Heroes, and they still give them their time and give them their story. We're gonna see Metal Sonic and Amy in a film in 2027. Yes. My favorite villain, one of my favorite characters, so excited to see them. We got to see Shadow on the big screen. The stories they tell, the passion they put into them, giving us, again, Sonic Adventure, seeing Chaos's evolution as the villain. They really put a lot of love into each character and giving us the opportunity to relate to such a variety of them. And we were actually just talking about this backstage, so I won't name any names, but some other companies maybe wouldn't love a giant fan convention based off of these characters. And Sega gives us the opportunity to celebrate and connect in these spaces. And I just think it's really cool that we can celebrate us, we can celebrate them, whether we're neurodivergent or neurotypical. We have this connection that, in my opinion, other fan bases just don't get.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree too.
Retweeted.
I just want to say sorry, I talk a lot.
No, she doesn't.
In conclusion, Sonic has always spoken to a lot of neurodivergent people on a very personal level, and it's a thing that has always stuck with the franchise to this day. As long as it continues to be something that resonates with neurodivergent people, I mean, it's been doing it for 35 years now. I think it's going to be doing it for like 100 years at this point, which is good. I want to keep seeing it do that. I hope, honestly, Sonic will continue to be a light to people like myself, all kinds of other neurodivergent people. It's been doing that for a while, and it's something that's kind of always helped us feel seen, and even in like times when things might seem dark, Sonic has always been a light to us, and I think that's a really powerful thing, and I hope it continues to do that for many years to come.
And if that felt fast, that was for you ADHD people. But wait, there's more.
There is more, you're correct. First of all, you can follow all of us. All our socials are right there. I'm on YouTube. All my other great friends here are on Twitch. Thank you to all of them for joining me for this panel. I'm absolutely honored to have them here. My pleasure. Now, for Q&A, we're going to be doing that here. I believe they should be setting up a microphone, so you'll want to line up, have any questions at all?
I could also literally walk out there.
Well, there you go. You can do that as well.
Can I walk out there?
Perfect. Yeah, if any of y'all have any questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Questions,
Absolutely.
comments, concerns. I see a hand. I'm coming.
There we go.
I'm going.
Perfect.
I gotta go fast. They're bringing one, but I want to come to you. Hello.
Hello, hello.
So, I'm glad that Sonic has neurodivergency, but what if there's kids who want to be more? They gotta be so much more. They gotta show their power. So much so that not even Shadow can defeat them. They gotta become a god. Maybe a devil.
I'm just great motivational speech. I think you should hit up Shia LaBeouf there.
In fact, I want to ask you guys about the OSS. I'm sponsored. My name is Carson Woodruff Brock, and I am sponsoring Off Script Society. It's my mom's company. It's one of the newest things, and our job is to help find a purpose for adults on the autism spectrum. And yesterday I came here with two friends of mine. Their names are Dope, Rap, and Nadia. They are just because as an actor in training, I hope to someday I know what my purpose is. I plan to bring joy to kids, and hope to inspire kids through improv and improvisation.
What's right here?
Well, that's good. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Thank you for also being a light to other autistic people. That makes me very happy.
Yeah, I enjoy Sonic. I've enjoyed it ever since I was born. So much so that my mom even told me it was like she described it as crack cocaine. Her words, not mine. I described it as, hey, you're essentially like Mario, but way cooler. And then I found Dante, but the Yakuza series, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, I was just like, when I played that game, I was like, Sega, I will give you my blood. I will give you my soul.
Well, I gotta say, Sonic is better than Yakuza, sorry.
Yakuza has one thing that Sonic games don't have. The Ocean Hunter, Yakuza Pirate Yakuza Hawaii has crazy taxi representation, some things of Jet Set, some tracks of Knights. I'm a Sega kid, not just a Sonic kid, but a Sega kid. I like Golden Axe, Altered Beast, Kid Chameleon, Rise Star, a whole lot of other Sega games. In fact, Billy Hatcher. Does anyone remember that game, Billy Hatcher?
Yeah. Very good.
What about Bayonetta?
Also a good one.
Yeah.
I love hack and slash games for sure.
So many more. There's a lot of good games out there, and they really help. Anywho, I can see I'm on borderline. I don't want to keep it too long. Thank you all.
Love to see that.
So if you guys have any questions for our guests here, please form a line behind me. Thank you.
I was gonna come to you, but line.
Hello. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not a question. I'm sorry, I just gotta say a letter of appreciation to, it gotta be the best thing ever, Pepto-Bismol. I'm Blake Schwartz and I love Pepto-Bismol. It's great. I heart Pepto-Bismol. See you later.
See ya. It's gonna be about.
Were you guys already diagnosed like neurodiversity when you guys like discovered you're into Sonic?
Yeah, I was diagnosed actually pretty early on. I was diagnosed in, I think like 2008 officially. So I did have a lot of time to kind of reflect on that, and in that time I also kind of figured out, oh, so this is why I like the Sonic series so much. But I think because I was diagnosed pretty early on, I kind of got it better than most people. Like I think a lot of people are still getting late diagnosed in today's day and age just because there's more information out there, which is good. But it's still a process. I think I do hope they get better at that, but especially for women, unfortunately, it's still very hard to get a diagnosis as a female. So. Especially for something like autism, so I do hope that continues to get better, honestly.
Yeah, all my friends think I'm autistic, so yeah.
Absolutely. You get it.
Hi, I'm Shadow, this is Sonic. We're a neurodivergent couple, so Sonic's been diagnosed since your late teens? No, since birth. I was actually late diagnosed last year after seeing 4 different specialists and 5 MRIs. With autism and gait dyspraxia. And so my question for you is, we both are on the opposite types of autism. I'm the one, if you've seen the Discord channel, I'm the shadow guy that talks way too much. And I talk with somebody that is more touchy-feely and kind of text-related. How do you kind of manage those interactions with people that are on different parts of the spectrum?
Good question.
How will you handle that?
Okay. Hello. So I was one, other than one of my diagnosed, I got diagnosed with depression when I was a kid, but all of my flavors of neurospicy, I got diagnosed with in my late 20s. So I was one of those that for such a long time, I felt like something is different about me, and I didn't know what it was or how to communicate it. And so in my early 30s, now having my diagnosis, having the tools, and having education on them, one of the things that works really well for me, both in the professional and my personal space. So on Twitch, I am incredibly open, for my boundaries, for my mental health, because especially with my BPD, sometimes I struggle with personal relationships. It's very hard for me to be close to people. So I just straight up share that. I say, this is who I am. This is exactly what to expect from me. these are the things that I need to be successful personally and professionally. I mean, I met all of them on Twitch. That's how we all connected with each other, and they have all accepted me just communicating, this is who I am, this is how we are. And even Noah and I have had, like in text specifically, some of our conversations being different flavors of neurospicy. We have to get, can you clarify please? Because I'm not sure if you mean it this way or this way, and I'm very confused. Communication is, I mean, changed my life. It seems very simple, but it was not for me until very recent years.
I mean, communication, learning to communicate in the way that your partner needs you to communicate is a little hard sometimes. But the work and the effort that you put into learning different communication styles and then being willing within yourself to work on those so that you can communicate broadly is a really, really important skill. It's a little harder for some of us to do, but as long as we're practicing and working on it and knowing that we're all imperfect humans and we're all gross meat bags, like, we can get through this, you know? He said, co-signed.
I do agree though, for sure. Like Emmy said, like there's that different level of communication for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky to know Emmy, Jen, Supersonic. I'm very glad to know all of them. I think they were some of my best neurodivergent friends on the platform, and like even with that sort of different level of communication, we still understand each other and we understand where we're all coming from because we're all neurospicy. So exactly, it's all a challenge for all of us.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Hello. Sorry to bother you for a moment. I do want to ask Ben a question.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, is it really normal to be attached to a character that you feel comforted? Because for me, I'm actually trying my best to become a mechanic as well as an engineering. And of course, my comfort tale is tails. But for a long while, I never had one. It's my first time ever actually having one. So I always told myself, I don't have these symptoms, but I act like them. So the more times I search more about tails, see if it has the same kind of feel for me. I've been having problems, I have to look up for someone, all these type of things. So I wanted to ask, is it really normal to feel this way? Even when you try your best not to feel like too attached to the character?
Like seeing yourself in the character you're talking about?
Yeah, like
that is actually a very common part of the neurodivergent experience in my opinion, especially because like kind of what I was saying before, I think neurodivergent representation in media especially is still, it's getting better with there being more information out there. I've talked about this in different videos, but it still has a long way to go. Things like The Unbreakable Boy or music are not good representations of things like autism, and there's basically been no representation for other neurodivergencies in general. It's just a very hard thing for media to tackle. So usually, I think the thing that I've really found for other neurodivergent people is that the way they can kind of see themselves in a character and sort of feel like affirmed in a way they might not be able to get otherwise is usually by kind of looking at a character like Tails. Like that's definitely one for me, and being like, oh, I see parts of myself in that character, and they do things that I, do, but they're shown in a positive light, and they're a real character with real flaws, real developments, real arcs, and that's a really powerful thing in my opinion. Actually, I think neurodivergent coded characters are really good for people that are neurodivergent because a lot of times, especially if they don't know other neurodivergent people, that often is a really good way that they can feel seen. I think it's a really beautiful thing.
thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You're valid.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
Osmin.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so my name is Jamie. I have been diagnosed with ADHD about like 2-ish years ago or so. My question, so it is known that a lot of neurodivergent people, I've seen especially for people with ADHD and autism, it's really common for us to have some sort of hyperfixation, if not multiple. My case, one of my hyperfixations is Sonic the Hedgehog is the reason why I'm here. So probably a lot of people in this room. My question is, what are your guys' like personal hyperfixation or hyperfixations? Dark Souls.
Sonic and Tron, basically. There we go.
Like, I can go on about this a little too much, but for me specifically, retro gaming and collecting, I've been collecting games and consoles since 1998, to where I have 3 Dreamcasts. I'll go out of my way. I bought my 5th copy of Sonic Adventure yesterday at this convention because it said something different on the front than the other variations I have. So, collecting Sonic, obviously, I think we all have that in common, and Resident Evil for me these days as well.
Well, for me personally, speedrunning. Like when I started speedrunning, like I actually started with Super Mario Brothers, even though it was called Supersonic. But when I moved on to Sonic the Hedgehog games, I tried to like learn every single Sonic game that I can, like from the classic 2D games, and I'm starting to learn like Sonic Adventure 2 and then Sonic Heroes and some other like 3D Sonic games very soon. And there was actually a thing called the Sonic 8. Myself, a couple other Sonic speedrunners, like we would just grab 8 different Sonic games and speedrun it all in one time. And I feel like speedrunning for me is something that I could just do and not think about it and things of that.
And how do you guys find that comfort in those hyperfixations?
Kind of like I was saying before, I definitely kind of like just seeing those coded characters has always been really reaffirming for me personally with Sonic. For Tron, same thing, because Kora I see as a very neurodivergent coded character.
My girl,
Tron
I
Legacy.
love her.
Absolutely.
I liked Dark Souls so much that I created a Dark Souls space on Twitch because I wanted to only talk about Dark Souls. So I coped by creating only Dark Souls around me.
That's valid.
As far as speedrunning goes, I like to go fast. Try to beat the game as fast as possible. Finding any glitch, whatever it is, or even glitchless as well. Like just trying to beat the game as fast as possible. Try to be like the #1 speedrunner out there. That just kind of keeps my drive going and just not, just keep my focus there.
My retro collecting kind of, not to be too emotional, but it kind of saved my life because I started streaming on Twitch. I went live just one day in 2019 playing, I don't know if anyone here knows Hamtaro. I was playing a Hamtaro Game Boy Advance game on Twitch. Yay, Hamtaro fans! And I was like, maybe one person will hang out with me today, and one person showed up, and then I streamed it again the next day, and another person showed up, and that is where I found community. That is where I found that people accepted me for who I am, and I didn't have to pretend to be something else to be understood by people. And now it's my career. I'm one of the founding advisors of the brand new Twitch Retro Creator Club, which I never saw happening. And just by being myself and sharing those things I care about with other people has changed my life. So whatever your hyperfixations are, big advocate for connecting with others, of course, if they're healthy, I guess. I don't know if I should disclaimer that. But things like Sonic that brought us all here today, they can be life-changing. So thanks for your question.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yep, hear you.
Hi, my name is Yumi, and first of all, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for, spreading awareness about this and taking your time to talk about, neurodivergence and also being open with us. I really appreciate that. I've been a Sonic fan since I was 4, and my very first Sonic game was the very first Sonic game on the Genesis, and I basically grew up with Sonic. But anyway, I have 2 sons, 9 and 10. And my older son, he is autistic and has ADHD. And my younger son, he may be autistic. I have to do further testing for him on that, but they're thinking he has bipolar disorder. And it's honestly it can be, very challenging having, children that struggle with those things. But, I'm just so thankful that you guys are spreading awareness. It's just so wonderful because I'm half Korean, and Korean society, they do not, you just don't talk about mental health issues or things like that at all. You can talk about oh, I got a cut on my leg, I gotta go to the doctor. They talk about that, but they don't talk about, things with the brain. It's very looked down upon, it's everything like that. So, but I just love what you guys are doing, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you again.
Thank you for saying that.
Did you say your name is Yumi?
Yes, Yumi.
Thank you for being the type of mom that you are, because as a silent neurodivergent child, I would love to have you, and your kids are very lucky.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's to hear that.
Thank you for saying that, because I get a lot of comments on my videos from actually people like you, like moms of autistic people. And that makes me really happy, because that means people like yourself are actually looking at what people like us have to say, you know, people that are autistic or neurodivergent in some sense. And like you guys actually looking to see what people like us have to say for your kids really means a lot. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Wow.
First of all, fantastic panel. Love it. My name is Kyle. I am 37, and I share a lot of things that have been discussed so far. You know, growing up with Sonic on the Genesis from very young age, so feel that. And I have also been diagnosed with ASD as well since 1991, so I've lived with this for 34 years. I'm another that thanks the Sonic community for giving the opportunities that I have. But my question that I want to lead into here is considering how this community, there's a lot of passion behind it. It leads to a lot of great forms of connection and abilities of expression. So how do you see that kind of energy that people can bring to a community like this? But then consider, how that energy can be harnessed into, a lot of questions that come up a lot of the time are things like what happens after the bus stops showing up. You gotta start thinking about independent living, you gotta start thinking about a job, you gotta start thinking about all these scenarios, and that can be a little daunting for adults later in life. So how would one say like the energy of the Sonic community can translate into taking that and putting it towards good, essentially, if you catch my drift?
That is a really good question, actually. I think the Sonic community has been one of the most dedicated and faithful communities that I've ever been part of, honestly. And it's one of the most welcoming too, I've always found. And I think being able to have that positive experience of other people around you that often are on the spectrum is just a really reaffirming thing. And I know for me personally, I never saw myself doing videos about neurodivergency on YouTube, but having other people around me that reaffirmed me being who I am and, letting me know that's okay, honestly really helped push me forward in this direction where I'm at now. And I think being able to have other people around you, especially in something like this community, is a really beautiful thing, and I think it always brings out the best in people, no matter what.
And as the information keeps going out and updating, so is that verbiage, and that verbiage means a lot to the people looking at that community too. I know that firsthand just because as my buddy here wanted me to, I happen to work a lot with neurodivergent adults as well, autism specifically. But I'm helping a lot in that avenue, trying to just advocate so much more for any autistic individuals looking for jobs one day. Just happen to work for a company. It's a nonprofit company, but tries to train in a lot of that work readiness and professionalism. But I see a lot of those individuals that bring that passion into our building, and so it's something that I feel like should never be downplayed. I feel that energy is so important, just to, give that livelihood for people that are just really needing it.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This man has helped me out many times. Well, I'm serious. I
don't do all the compliments.
That's
part of my diagnosis.
That time when you told me, what do I want?
I told them once upon a time, we're making that. What am I fighting for?
Yeah, and I think that's hard. What do I want out of life?
For me to know that you're not on the life you can't breathe. But I see love happening, and I'm happy about it, but I didn't hear it. But I know it was there.
He was saying that he was saying that he's also motivated him, which is good. I'm glad you also have another neurodivergent person that is helping bring the best out of you too. It's a really good thing.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I want to say thank you for running this panel, first of all. Second of all, shout out to Miss Stevens, who's a great mom, because I wish my mom did that. But two, or three, sorry. From my experiences as a Black woman, so I know Black people have a much harder time trying to get diagnosed with anything. My question was, how do you feel about self-diagnosis, and do you feel like it causes more harm than good?
Honestly, I think in today's day and age, self-diagnosis is very valid. Especially, like you said, it's a lot hard. It's definitely still very hard for some groups to get diagnosed. And I think if you really do the research, like find out what like you really think you are, like find that affirmation, and just like really look into it. I think self-diagnosis is very valid. Like, I mean, it's also costing an exorbitant amount of money no matter what, so to get a true diagnosis. So I think self-diagnosis is very valid. I always do tell people I do recommend looking into the possibility of getting an official diagnosis down the road if you can, but I still think self-diagnosis is a really valid step no matter what.
I get asked this a lot on my streams, so just to reiterate, I think self-diagnosis is a very valid tool. I got misdiagnosed many, many times, and I still currently self-diagnose with ADHD and autism because my neuropsychologist recommended I get diagnosed with those things, and then I procrastinated till I lost my health insurance, and I just never did it. So that's not undiagnosed ADHD there, but I think self-diagnosis is a super valid tool to use, and if you have the means and you are able to pursue the official diagnosis, just because at the end of the day, if we're not professionals, we don't know, but that's what I always clarify. I'm diagnosed with these, I self-diagnose with these, and for some people, not everyone wants those to know that or to label with those things, but it helps me just to be able to communicate like, hey, I self-diagnose with this, I think this is what I have. And when you do maybe have the means or able to take the next step to get officially diagnosed, you already have more information and awareness going into it than somebody who maybe is starting from scratch.
Right. I am going to play a contrarian as an ex-therapist. As much as self-diagnosis can be a tool, it is also dangerous. There are a lot of overlapping symptoms that can happen between so many different labels. And all of those labels need very specific different things to treat and help yourself. So if you're self-diagnosing, I need you to second guess yourself and attempt, if possible, not reach out to your doctor. I know that's so hard to do in America. There's also a lot of community health programs that are focused on free health care in your cities normally. So look into those resources as well, especially at your Family Protective Services locations. They're typically in like the cities. They typically have Medicaid and other resources there. Now, there's lots to say about America, but those things are still available right now. And I think people should take advantage of going to healthcare clinics, even if they aren't as good as going to other doctors, because the tools are there. You literally message me on Twitter, I'll find it in your area for you, please.
Yeah, I've honestly been trying to self-diagnose myself as well for like a few years now, and it's been really difficult for me as well to try to find, like a physician or something to see like what am I actually diagnosed with, because like Jen said, it is actually very dangerous because we can always be misdiagnosing ourselves. So I guess like finding a professional that can help with these things will definitely be very beneficial in that sense.
Thank you. I really was very curious about what you had to say about it for your therapist experience. So thank you all for your opinions. Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to thank you all for making such a safe space for everybody here who's neurodivergent. I have a neurodivergent son. I claim the Pepto-Bismol young man that you heard from earlier.
Yeah, Pepto-Bismol.
Yes. So if you didn't feel safe enough to say that, that should be a compliment to you that he literally came up to tell you that, because he's an amazing child, and a lot of moms who have children with neurodivergency, they don't, you don't get a handbook that tells you what to do. So some parents may do things certain ways, but to see great people like yourself step up and show, different sides of, the autism spectrum and other, diagnoses. It's actually very refreshing, and I just wanted to thank you. And, the world is changing, thank God, because I feel like neurodivergent children and adults are the most amazing people there are. And I love each and every single one that I meet, and I thank God for mine, and I thank God for you. And I just really am very happy that you guys did this, because it created this safe space for all of us to feel comfortable in saying what we feel and not feeling like we're different. We are actually the majority, and I feel like everybody here is special and a special gift. And I just wanted to say thank you for you guys bringing that forward and bringing that safe space. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Also, that pumped up, the small comment really made me laugh.
Well, yes, thank you for that. All right. I think that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sonic Expo. Thank you.
You too.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this panel or learned something new from it. I enjoyed doing it quite a bit. Special thank you again to Emidivergent, JenIsOnline, and Supersonic for joining me on this panel, and also thank you again to Sonic Expo for accepting my panel to begin with. Huge shout out to my friend Booker, who actually recorded this entire panel for us. Definitely go follow her on Twitter and on Twitch. If you haven't already, consider subscribing as well, since I do a lot of content like this overall, often diving into different films, animation, video games, and things like that overall. You can also join my Discord and meet a lot of like-minded folks overall, especially a lot of people who are also on the spectrum. Special shout out to all my patrons and YouTube members as well, who pitch in with the extra monetary effort to keep me doing what I do here. I appreciate all of you a ton, and thank you for coming to the very end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it or learned something new from it. But for now, I've been Otterly Noah, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye!